Yep. Multi-units, small multi-unit business. You're not into single family, you're not into RTO, you've got this niche in small multi-units. How did you learn that?
How to get educated in that? Well, there's an old saying, when preparation and opportunity meet, then your success can ensue. So I looked at a lot of properties. I decided I wanted something, but I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know anything about cash flow. I didn't know anything about valuation. I didn't know anything about tenants. My God. I barely knew anything about painting, much less some of the finer points. So I just went out and looked at a lot of properties. And I've heard in this group someone say, look at 100 houses before you buy anything. Become an expert in whatever niche you decide. If you want single-family houses in the 38104 zip, go look at 100. Prepare yourself. You've got to educate yourself. You've got to get to know that. You've got to become an expert as best you can in that area that you're embarking on. And invariably, whatever you decide, your opinion will be changed. It will be shaped by something else you discover. So it's never a final accomplishment you make. It's a constant learning process. So I went out and just looked at a lot of properties, finally found a deal using the term Arnold mentioned earlier in a conversation about OPM, other people's money. Managed to use a little bit of mine, a little bonus that I had, and actually assumed a note back when you could assume notes legally. And managed to put that deal together on a little 5-unit property, and then leverage that to acquire an 8-unit, and sort of try to build it up from there. But the whole idea is just go out and start looking at them, touch them, feel them, get to know them, so that you see the variations that are out there, and see what's comfortable for you, what fits your particular personality in doing this thing.
How do you pick multifamily instead of single family?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm somewhat risk averse, and that sounds sort of counterintuitive. You're into multifamily apartments and you're risk averse, but the reason I did that was I didn't have much money, to be honest with you. I already bought my first home that I lived in, and the advice I got, again, thinking back to those times, was spend everything you can spend, buy as much as you can buy in your home, because the market will rise. All you got to do is keep paying that note. The market will rise, it'll become worth more, you'll get a raise at work, and your ratio of debt to income will ease. And at the time it was good advice. I'm not sure I'd tell any young person that these days, but at the time it was good advice. I didn't have much money, and with credit to Ben Franklin and Richard Scarborough, I prepared a sheet that lists kind of the pros and cons, and in a lot of decision-making process, if you'll just list these things out, you can see maybe a balance and say, okay, well, the pros outweigh the cons. There's nothing one way or the other. I'm risk adverse. I didn't want to be coming out of pocket to pay for that property. Once I had executed a note on it, was responsible for it. If it was a single-family house and they moved out, I was coming out of pocket to pay for that. With a multifamily, if you have 1 or 2 vacancies on, say, a 5-unit building, well, you've only got 40% vacancy. You still got 60% cash flow. I tried to structure my notes, and still do, so that I'm no more than about 50% on my P&I, my debt service. So I'm going to have other expenses, I know that, but if my debt service is no more than 50%, and I can keep my occupancy ratios up in the 60, 70, even down to 50%, I'm not coming out of pocket.
All right. Why don't you hand the microphone to Gene for this next question? This is, again, going to be a question for each one of you. Understand, each one of these members has a different worldview when it comes to investing in entrepreneurship. So I'm going to ask you guys to answer this next question by filtering this through your conceptual grid or your worldview and answering it from your point of view. Okay. Now, Gene's 31. For those of you who don't know, when Gene was 21, he was making about $500,000 a year building up Graceland. Very successful. He also comes from a family where his father built a very successful meat business, I understand it. So Gene is kind of born and bred entrepreneur. School didn't really work for him. I got 2 master's degrees, 13 years of college, summa cum laude, electrical and computer engineering, and also an MBA. Gene, did you even make it to high school? I don't think you made it to high school.
Man, I failed the first grade and I still haven't gotten over it. And,
you can tell how well that's worked out for him, right? I was watching, go ahead.
I went to the 8th grade and dropped out and said the heck with it.
So, here's a scenario for you guys. I'm going to ask Gene first and then Richard and Kevin. As a young investor, 18 years old, what is the best strategy for me to build a healthy portfolio and gain financial success? Open-ended question.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Number one, I would, try to figure out what my investment strategy is going to be. What are you going to invest in? That's number one. Number two is you really want to learn and really understand how money works. I see it every day where people just do not understand how money works. Talking about compounding your money, compound interest, how that works. And at a young age, that is very, very important for you to understand. A lot of people, they'll go out there, they'll buy a house, they'll gain monthly cash flow. What do? They spend it. And if you want to play around a little bit, go to, I think it's moneychamp.com. They've got these calculators on there, compound interest calculators, and you can put in there, let's say you got $20,000 now, you had $20,000 every year. You just play with that thing a little bit, making, let's say, 10% on your money or whatever you think you can do with your investment strategy. And it'll tell you very quickly how much money you will have by the time you're 40, 50, 60 years old. And that was probably one of the biggest aha moments in my life and business, is when I understood how money works. I'll give you just a little bit of an example. Look at the banks out here in our towns and around about. They've all got the nice big buildings and that kind of thing. And the reason that they are able to do what they do is they understand how money works, how leveraging your money works, and how compound interest works. It's a huge thing. So I would look at that. I would really study that, and then I would really figure out what kind of investment strategy that you're passionate about, and being able to get out there and figure it out. You've got to continue to put yourself out there, and eventually you will be guided to what it is you're supposed to do. I mean, finding your purpose in life is a big deal. And when you find that and you incorporate all the knowledge of compounding money, understanding how that works, you can make really wise business choices from the time you're 18 to 30 that I'm telling you will set you up for the rest of your life. Now, if you wait till you're 40 and 50 to make the decisions that you could have made at 18 through 30, it will take, it'll shave years off of your financial, your wealth, every aspect of your life. I would really encourage you, if you're a young person, even if you're an older person, doesn't matter, really learn that. That's just so crucial. And that would be my number one advice for a person, 18, 20, 30 years old.